Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our webinar today. Can you all hear me po? Okay, hopefully everybody can hear me. All right. Now, my name po is Diane M. Saunders of Grade School English Department, and I will be your MC for this session. I am thrilled to have all of you here and excited for what we have in store this morning. However, before we begin po, let us take a moment to go over some important guidelines to ensure a very smooth experience for all of us. Firstly, please ensure that your microphones are muted during the presentation to avoid any background noise. If you have any questions, feel free to type them in the chat box and we will address them during the open forum session. In the meantime, feel free to say hi or hello in our chat to let your other friends know that you're already here and ready to join. Kindly also turn on your cameras if you may do so. Stay engaged, participate in the activities and our discussions for this morning. Also, before the end of the session, we will be sending the link of the webinar evaluation via chat box. Please make sure to answer it to receive your electronic certificate. And lastly, please be informed that this session is being recorded for documentation purposes. Thank you for your cooperation.
I'm sorry po, I think Miss Diane got technical issue. Kindly wait po. Thank you.
Please for that. Now, with that being said, let us begin our program. Today, we are going to explore a very engaging and impactful topic, action research. But what exactly is action research? It is actually a method of systematic inquiry that helps educators and professionals like us to improve our practices through iterative cycles of planning, acting, observing, and even reflecting. The importance of action research lies in its ability to empower individuals to make evidence-based improvements in their own work environments. Action research is not just for researchers. It is widely used by teachers, administrators, and professionals across various fields who seek to enhance their practices and solve real-world problems. By engaging in action research, they become active participants in their own learning and development. Throughout this webinar, we will gain insights into the steps involved in conducting action research, including problem identification, data collection, analysis, and reflection. Also, we should learn how to formulate clear and relevant research questions specific to their context, which is very crucial and for effective action research. This webinar should also provide educators with practical strategies for applying action research findings, focusing on integrating evidence-based interventions to improve classroom practices and even student outcomes. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce our esteemed speaker for today. Ms. Vanessa Bustos Pablo is the founder of Victoria Bustos Pablo Home of Charity Incorporated and a professor at University of Perpetual Help System Dalta Las Piñas City Campus. An innovative industry and content consultant in the field of business, research, hospitality, and education. She is currently elected as president of Philippine Association of Marketing Research Educators Incorporated, South Manila. She joined the 2023 JCI Philippines Visayas Area Conference as an external jury. She recently acquired a Juris Doctor degree in Philippine Law School, Pasay City. She finished her doctorate in Business Administration at University of Santo Tomas, Legazpi City, formerly known as Aquinas University of Legazpi, with Babe Rubero's recognition. She has earned her degrees and masters in business administration with Meritissimus recognition and a Bachelor of Science in Commerce major in management, awarded as cum laude, as well as civil service eligibility as honor graduate at Divine Word College of Legazpi, Legazpi City. She took certificate in teaching at Bicol University College of Education, Daraga Albay, and passed the licensure examination for teachers in 2008. Her secondary and elementary education were completed with consistent honors received. Accomplished professional development courses covering Certified Research Specialist Program, Certified Management Consultancy Program, and Certified Risks Analysts Program. She also acquired certifications as Impact Rater on Environment, recognized internationally as Research Specialist, as Research Resource Associate, Clinical Legal Education Program Levels 1 and 2, and TESDA issued certifications on bookkeeping, events management services, customer services, tourism promotion services, trainer's methodology, and national TVET trainer. She has been employed for more than a decade in the field of banking, assigned in different departments. Such banking experience also includes educating and training bank employees in several programs for professional growth. She possesses in-depth knowledge of effective teaching methods and student engagement strategies, as evidenced by her work experiences as professor or professorial lecturer in various business courses in several private and public schools. Her dedication to education is very profound, as she extended mentoring student councils, provided expert guidance as a business research, visibility, business plan or thesis advisor, panel chair, or member. She was able to publish research as co-author entitled AI Chatbots, Elevating Customer Interactions Amidst Challenges, an International Journal of Latest Technology in Engineering. Management and Applied Science ISSN 22782540, and persistently exploring new avenues for publication. Her dedication to community outreach or extension programs is evident by the charity organization she led, as well as being a coordinator for community extension services and teaching at Bilibid Extension Services in Muntinlupa City for Entrepreneurship Program. As an advisor for student councils, she contributed in facilitating and organizing community extension services together with student leaders and volunteers. Her qualifications across multiple disciplines exhibits a commitment to continuous professional growth, mastery, and proficiency in both academic and industry settings. Without further ado, let us all welcome Ms. Vanessa Bustos Pablo.
Thank you so much, Miss Dayan. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, we can hear you po.
Thank you so much for that comprehensive introduction. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for inviting me to be your speaker in this webinar entitled Navigating Action Research, Practical Steps and Strategies for Effective Research. Let me just share my slides. Right, I hope my screen is visible now.
Yes po, yes po.
Thank you, Ms. Diane. All right, the theme provided was Navigating Action Research, Practical Steps for Effective Strategies. I'm your speaker for today, Ms. Vanessa Pablo. Okay. So the first objective given was for us to gain insights on the different steps involved in conducting research, particularly action research. Now, there are different classifications of research, but for this particular webinar, we are going to discuss purely on action research, which focuses on problem identification, data collection, analysis, and reflection. So to address this objective, we have to discuss first what is an action research. So basically, an action research is a qualitative research method used to address specific problems. So in our case, since we are in a academe, our context will be on education. So when we explore action research processes, it basically develops an individual's understanding of how to identify and address real-world problems. So in our case, academic real-world problems. So we basically make data-driven decisions based on a qualitative approach. So we have to remember that action research is a qualitative research method. So using action research, we solve problems within our society, our social systems, or the academic system in particular. And we emphasize cyclical process of inquiry. So in qualitative research, there is a cycle, and we combine actions and reflections as mentioned in our first objective. So here, as researchers, we are allowed to investigate issues and then we implement actions. So basically, for the common researches in qualitative, they just provided strategies, recommendations, but for action research, there is a need to implement solutions based on the findings that we gathered. Okay. So also, this method particularly favored educators because it fosters continuous improvement. So in teaching, enhancing student engagement, and learning outcomes. Okay. So action research has this purpose. So as mentioned by Diane a while ago, it is a systematic approach, meaning we should follow different steps before we implement an action. So in educational settings, there are different problems and challenges. So our purpose is to generate knowledge that can lead to practical solutions, no? Meaning implementable. So these specific solutions are based from the investigations that are usually conducted based on different steps. So action research, as defined to be a systematic approach, involves participants, no? The researchers and the participants or that are actively engaged in different problem-solving activities. So for qualitative kasi, we usually use the term participants, no? But for quantitative, we usually use the term respondents. So since action research is qualitative, we prefer to use the term participants for those who are going to answer your interviews or your guide questions. Okay. So in addition to this purpose, your research should also reflect different practices, actual practices, wherein the goal is again to generate knowledge that can lead to practical solutions for different concerns in education, such as classroom settings, about the educational institution itself, problems encountered by students, among others. All right, so let's start with the different processes. So first, we have identifying the problems. So here, the researchers usually pinpoint different issues that needs to be addressed. So if you are familiar with your school or with your students, you can easily identify different problems that you need to be solving, okay? Or aside from problems, it could also be your area of interests, okay? So this involves identifying a specific, actionable questions that are relevant, no, in the current situation of the students or the school. The problem should be framed according to a position that allows the researchers to explore and at the same time provide potential solutions that are both specific and manageable. So meaning your problems should be based on area of interest or concern that are implementable or manageable. So the next step after identifying your problem is conducting the planning research itself. So what are the strategies that you are going to do? No, how are you going to tackle the identified problems? Okay. And if you already identified the problem, how are you going to develop a detailed action plan? So, or outline of your research. This goes to all the planning session. Okay. So here, it also includes the planning, your methods to be used. So basically, since it's action research, it's more on qualitative. Okay. The data collection tools, then the timeline, of course. It's very important that you plan your research within a specified timeline so that you will get your goal or any compliances that the school needs. So you can also consider the stakeholders involved. For example, if you're going to interview the students or specific for the students alone or the school administration or other stakeholders like the parents or suppliers or anyone or any person that is involved in the academe that you would like to be part of your area of interest. So here in planning, it's also very important that there is, we should see at the end the relevance and effectiveness of the study. The third is action, meaning the plan should be implemented. That's as simple as it is. Okay. Number 4, for action research, we usually call it observing, but for common researches, we usually call it data collection. Okay. So here, the researchers collect all the data and assess its effectiveness on the actions taken, or meaning on the plans that you got prepared prior to data collection. So in this phase, what do we do? the researcher or researchers implements the action plan and begin gathering data. They could employ interviews, observations, or document analysis. So you can use triangulation. We call it triangulation. A certain portion will be quantitative, qualitative, and then data analysis or documents. Or you can also use purely interviews, observations, and you can also use document analysis. Okay. Or any of this can do as long as it applies to what solutions you would like to be at the end. You would like to have at the end. So meaning you have to choose the collection methods, okay? So that it will be aligned to whatever research objectives you have planned. So included in the data collection is all on the manner of how you're going to facilitate the data collection itself or the data gathering. Okay? In common researchers, we call it data gathering, but for action research, we usually call it observation, or data collection. So for data analysis, we call it reflection or reflecting in action research. So we reflect on the findings, we analyze and draw insights to inform future actions or to create solutions. Okay. So reflection is very critical because this is the interpretation and analysis of the gathered data, wherein usually you look at patterns, you look at themes, you look at trends, no? Based on the findings and the analysis. So it's very important that you are familiar with the area of interest or area of concerns you are into. Okay. For the developing an action plan, so after you had analysis, you need to develop an action plan. So this is a new action plan, after all the data gathered, and so that you will be able to address the problem. So we are also common to know that this action plan should be guided by different objectives. So the objective is SMART, as we call it, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. So these SMART objectives is very common to us, wherein we can also involve stakeholders during the process. Okay. So involving stakeholders, other stakeholders, can foster collaboration, which we need as we ensure broader support for other initiatives or for the research itself. Okay. Then implementing the action plan is the next step, wherein the action plan should be taken into practice. So this involves implementing new strategies, modifying existing practices, then testing alternative solutions. So meaning there will be different solutions based on your action plan, and you can choose which one would be applicable. So there should be a series of solutions or different alternative solutions, I mean. It is also very important that you document, every step or every implementation that you have, so that there will be transparency in cases of reporting. And at the same time, you can use those documentations to facilitate future evaluations. All right. Evaluation and monitoring. So this is the continuation of your implementation, wherein you are going to see whether the action plan is effective, whether the interventions and measures are in progress, okay, whether the evaluation informs you of necessary adjustments, and it helps you determine if the actions taken are based on the desired impact. Okay, so again, evaluation is very important because it measures your progress, it sees whether there is a need for a different intervention, and as well as whether there are adjustments needed before proceeding to the next. Okay, reflection and iteration. This means that you're going to reflect on outcomes of your action. So you are going to need the documentations you prepared during the evaluation and monitoring so that you will be able to reflect fully on the effectiveness of the action plan. Okay. So here, you can also do future cycles, okay, of your action research. If during the reflection and iteration, you are not able to fully fulfill your goals, okay, you can go back to identify again the problem, then do the cycles of action research. Okay. So when we say iteration, this is the nature of the action research wherein it allows for continuous learning and improvement. So after you reflect, you do iteration, which means continuous learning and improvement. Then you do the cycle of action research again. So meaning, each cycle builds different insights, okay, based on the efforts that you made in every cycle. So these are the steps. To reiterate, our first step is identifying problems. Second is planning the research process, then implementing or taking action on the planned research, observing the research process, meaning data collection, reflection, meaning data analysis, developing an action plan, implementing the action plan, evaluation and monitoring. Then the last is reflection and iteration. So to understand the action research better, we need to know first its characteristics. First, it is participative, meaning there should be participation from the different stakeholders that your interest is into. Then collaboration, of course, from the researchers and its participants, the school, and other agencies, could be the government, no? So it's very important that there is participative and collaborative nature. Context-based, meaning the findings and solutions should be tailored to the specific environment. So for our case, it's the education, okay, wherein your research will be conducted. Dynamic, meaning it's very important that we understand also the nature of the environment or the research environment you are into. So again, the characteristics of action research includes participative, collaboration, then being context-based, meaning findings and solutions are tailored into this specific environment or area of interest. Then, of course, the being dynamic, because as we all know, as mentioned a while ago, the iteration is a nature wherein the action research allows for ongoing reflection and ongoing adjustments. Okay, with that, with the continuous improvement or ongoing adjustment, creates the dynamic approach to the action research. So types of action research, we have two, the participatory and we have the practical action research. So for participatory, it means that there should be community involvement, no? Community members such as your researchers, their co-researchers, the participants. Then the purpose of participatory action is for empowerment and also collective problem solving, meaning the solutions are based on the insights of all the participants of the action research, while practical action research is basically addressing specific issues within a defined context, often used for improved teaching practices. So if our topic of research or action research is about teaching practices, we are basically applying practical action research. But if you're going to use collaboration with different stakeholders, we are going to use participatory action research. So for the second objective, so we have to learn how to formulate clear and relevant research questions. So which is crucial for effective action research. So for this objective, no, action research is usually a powerful tool, particularly for educators and practitioners now, because it seeks to enhance effectiveness and improvements of outcomes in the particular environment they're into. So it also fosters the reflective practice, no, wherein it always bridges the gap between the theory and the actual practice. Okay. So with this, it enables continuous learning, continuous improvement, adjustments, and adaptation. So in response to the different challenges that we are facing, particularly here in educational settings. So to address this objective, here are some tips to formulate effective questions. So we need first to know the scope. No, it's sometimes hard to establish whether the scope is in a broader term, meaning usually for scopes research, we use three questions, no? Three overarching questions that guide for action research. Okay. So this question should be enough to allow exploration. So not necessarily too broad, but it should be manageable and focused. So the scope should be manageable and focused. Right? Research-oriented, meaning your question should be actionable, and it's not merely on collecting data, but you should also be able to properly ask the questions according to the area of interest. So example, how can I get my students more engaged in classroom is basically a research question. But if you are going to ask what do students think would make them participate in the discussions, is more on a data collection. So we have to consider the approach in action research that it is a qualitative method. So meaning we have to ask question more on how, okay? Because usually quantitative method asks on questions more on what, okay? Meaningful and compelling, meaning there is an engagement, okay? There is a passion to engage, energy and commitment as a researcher, a teacher researcher, or a personal researcher. Then the question should be important for your personal and professional growth. So as mentioned a while ago, it should be on your area of interests, okay? So that there is passion on that certain topic, okay? So we should not be forgetting that all goals should be to improve student learning outcomes, and at the same time to improve the school's performance. Yeah? So the performance can be individual or team. So that's the goal of creating a meaningful and compelling research questions. Next, manageable and focus, meaning you have to ensure that your questions are within your sphere of influence and can be addressed, regardless of the challenges and constraints that you are going to experience, even if the resources are very limited. Okay. So here you have to avoid questions that are too ambitious or complex, no? Because ambitious questions cannot solve or cannot provide any solutions, specific solutions in particular. Answerable, okay, meaning you have to craft questions that are realistic, can be answered through observations, through interviews or document review, okay, and in other data collection methods necessary so that you will be able to address your goals and objectives. All right, next we have evolving, meaning you have to recognize that if there are changes, you can do refinement of your questions. And remember, as mentioned a while ago, one of the process is iteration, meaning it can be a continuous improvement or learning, okay? And from your results or data, and then your questions as well, you can emerge, there's another data that can emerge based from your questions, okay? You can also focus on different inquiries as needed, okay, during the process. Okay. So we have to remember that, and as educator and as a researcher at the same time, now there are questions related to like helping individual students, okay? Questions relating to curriculum improvement, developing content knowledge, experimenting with different teaching strategies, okay? You can also explore beliefs and practices at the same time, context on advocating social justice if necessary, okay? So don't forget to always document your thoughts, document your observations and ideas. You can use journal to support that reflection. Because sometimes the research questions can pop up at any time, so it's very important that you have journals at hand so that you can document those questions in mind. Okay, so we have to remember the 3 I's. No? Identify questions that are meaningful, important for your students, the school, and other stakeholders. And then investigate and act upon within your ability. So meaning, it is very clear now that the question should be relevant, that the question should be well positioned to conduct an effective action research, which will improve practice and learning. So meaning, investigating and acting upon your ability, we have to consider also different limitations as a researcher. So it requires certain practice. It requires continuous learning so that we will be able to upgrade such ability. So there are times we cannot finish a research because we investigate or explore beyond our ability. So for newbies or for first-time researchers or not yet a research practitioner, I advise to investigate first within the ability or act upon your ability so that you will be able to address such weakness and then continuous learning. So these are the 3 I's to remember. Okay, for our third objective, to provide educators with practical strategies for applying action research findings, focusing on integrating evidence based on interventions like to improve classroom practices and student outcomes. So for the first, we have 3 strategies. First is the evidence-based practices. Second is the fostering a culture of inquiry. Then third is ensuring ongoing support for educators and students. So to effectively address or provide educators with practical strategies that is needed when applying for action research, you need to integrate these three strategies so that you will be able to create also several key approaches as you go implement your research. So these strategies focuses on understanding the evidence base, fostering culture, and then the support, ensuring that there is support. So let's start with the key evidence-based strategies. We have clear goals. So when we say clear goals or lesson goals, you have to establish the objectives. So this will help educators focus on the teaching strategies, focus on what the students really needs to, or the needs of the students. So you can use your classroom setting, classroom experiences as one of the motivations in creating your research questions. I will also have show and tell. So usually this technique is about sharing information. So you can also get ideas from different conversations. You can also get ideas when you demonstrate your tasks. You can also get ideas from student comprehensions. Okay. So these are evidence-based because you also have different documents to cater this show and tell approach. Questioning for understanding, meaning regular checking of your students. Okay. You have your monitoring tools. So this can also be used for formulating your research questions. Okay, feedback is also documented. So meaning there's an evidence of students' growth, students' improvement. This could foster also a growth mindset. Flexible time, learning time, meaning you have to recognize that students vary their mastery of concepts and learning based on time. So you can use this also to create questions, actual research questions effectively. So these 5, clear lesson goals, show and tell, questioning, feedback, and flexible learning time, are documented. So they are called key evidence-based strategies because all of these are evidences to be used in formulating your questions. And those documents can also be used as document review, one of the methods in action research. All right. So the second strategy is to foster a culture of inquiry, meaning you have to reflect on your practice. What am I doing? Okay. You have to create a culture wherein educators are empowered to engage in action research. Okay. Is there an encouragement to do such research, action research? And this reflect on practice should be done regularly. You have to reflect on your instructional methods, reflect on your student outcomes, what is happening with my students, okay? And you can use this data to form questionnaires, to form action research questions, and eventually you can use this also to as your data collection. All your reflections can also be used as data collections. Collaborate, meaning you have to establish professional learning communities, no? To facilitate stakeholders' concerns as well, stakeholders' insights, stakeholders' inputs on how to effectively manage school settings. Access resources. So you have to provide resources that are reputable, meaning example of resources are those applications or those websites or journals that you can use for your related literatures. Library resources. Okay. So those are examples of access to resources. Other interventions like government support, if any, so that could also be part of your access resources. Okay, ongoing support and training. So professional development, this webinar is an example of a professional development. So it's very important that the school offers workshops and training sessions so that everyone could understand their goals of specific training. And then this will also improve the teacher's skills and confidence in applying the different practices. professional development for research could also foster through mentorship programs, meaning it could be teacher and student or teacher and a practitioner in research that could also be used. So these mentors provides guidance and support as they implement new strategies in conducting the action research. Okay, so again, for mentorship program, it could be student or and teacher collaboration or teacher to teacher, and then our teacher to a research practitioner or research expert can also be done. Monitoring and evaluation. So for ongoing support and training, there should be monitoring or regular assessment of the effectiveness of the training, at the same time, whether the goals of the training are being applied. Okay. So continuous improvement can also help the teaching practices improve, and at the same time, the adjustments that have to be made, okay, during the process. Okay. So these areas, the ongoing support, fostering culture of inquiry, and the evidence-based strategies are only the examples given for this particular webinar, although there are different strategies that you could also create as you go along with the action research cycle. So focusing in those areas, educators can effectively apply the different strategies, action research findings, leading to a more informed practices, and at the same time, improve student outcomes. So yun naman yung goals, usually goals of the research. Okay. Right, I think that's the last topic given to me based on the 3 objectives that were sent. Okay. So I can actually explain all other tips on action research if I have actual problems or actual questions that you have in mind, so that I can relate it specifically with your schools. All right, Miss Dayan, I think that's for my session.
Kami muted po ata.
Hello, sorry. I think my video is not really working. Can everybody hear me po?
Yes, Miss, you're audible.
Ayan. So thank you so much, Ma'am Vanessa, for that very informative presentation. We now have an ample time for an open forum where we can delve deeper into today's topic. Now, for all of the members here, this is your opportunity to ask questions. Please feel free to type your questions into the chat box and we'll address as many as we can, or you may raise your hand before you unmute your microphone and ask your question. Anybody po who has a question?
Good morning.
Yes po, good morning po.
Ma'am, good morning. This is Mr. Soleto. Can you hear me?
Yes, Sir Soleto.
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, because I'm one of the members in research. First of all, I would like to say thank you for all the information that you have shared, ma'am. Those are very important, especially for us teachers, to have knowledge in conducting research. And all the informations that you have says are right, and I don't have any against about that. But I have some what do you call this one? Uh, Clarifications that I need to address. All right. And these are first, ma'am, do you have any like assessment strategy on how to identify the problems so that we can use in our action research?
So
Or like how do you determine get those concerns? Do you have any like applying assessment strategy for that?
yes, for first, if you have documentation,
Mm-hmm.
like examples, student engagement documentations, grades, you can look into those documentations, no, whether there is a problem in a specific area. Okay, you can also use if the school has feedbacks and comments on your websites or any suggestions that from the students, that would also be a strategy. Okay, so if you have documentations about problem students, those that are referring to the guidance, okay, you can also use that. I mean, every department has its own documentation, so you can use all those documentations to reflect and create research questions based on that. Okay, you can also do brainstorming among specializations, like for English, for Filipino majors, for Filipino teachers, and business professionals. You can also do brainstorming for that. We usually use collaborations. We talk to parents, we talk to the students, you know. And recently, my strategy is also to talk on suppliers. No? If the school has their suppliers, if your topics more on sustainability or environment, green management, then you can talk to your suppliers. Okay, so that's second, the brainstorming. Then third is you can also check on different related literatures and studies about education that you can reflect if that problem also exists with your school. So you can also use that strategies.
Yes, ma'am, that's right. And is that possible also if like we're going to think of instructional strategy that we can apply,
Instructional
strategies that we can use, yes, just improve like the systems or the
Yes.
instructions.
Mm.
Because I remember one time, that's one of my experience before, in our department, we need to use like one or two strategies, and then we we applied all those strategies inside the classroom, and after that, every week we need to have a feedback. So we need to collaborate, we need to discuss. So what are the things that we need to improve? What are the things that we need to do to improve it? So it's like there is a PLC sessions, and so twice a month, something like that. Is that possible?
Yes, it's possible because there are actually a documentation. No? You have to first evaluate the instructional design that you created. So after evaluating the instructional design, you assess whether uh, the quality of techniques used is based on the standard of the design that you created, the instructional design. Then analyze the degree or quality of reflection, wherein you look into evidences. Okay.
Mhm.
And after that, you can also evaluate the data. The data actually the reflection that you mentioned a while ago, the results on the reflection is actually the data. Then from
Mhm.
it, you can analyze it.
So in other words, we come up with better interventions based on the reflections or the feedback.
Yes, yes. So with that, you can evaluate the design, the instructional design that you created.
Ma'am, one more time, I'm sorry. Actually, I'm a teacher of research. I just want to make to clarify in the group. Can you give me a brief informations like how can we differentiate action research to like thesis or something like that, so that we have a knowledge, because our approach in action research is different from thesis.
Yes. It's actually a different one, no?
Yes, ma'am.
So basically, action research is, the purpose of it is to continuous or simultaneous investigation of a specific problem being solved, or a practice within a particular context. While for thesis, ang aim niya is for, originally is to contribute knowledge and understanding of a certain field.
Oh, okay. Or
Or
in yes, ma'am.
but
Or
for action research, there's implementation of the actual analysis of data.
so basically, in other words, action research, we are going to address the practical challenges,
Yes, you have to
practical
investigate.
challenges of our systems educational that makes positive impact in our system, compared to thesis more on the focus on subject areas or the field of expertise. Is that what are you saying, ma'am?
Yes, as to purpose, no? As to purpose, action research is basically to investigate and solve a specific problem, and then there's an implementation of an improvement. While for thesis, again, it's for contribution to knowledge and understanding of a certain field of study for purposes. Okay. But for as to context naman, action research is basically about conducting it with an organization
Mm-hmm.
or with a community, that the purpose is to create a change.
Change.
While for thesis, basically, we usually use it for academic purposes or academic requirements. For as to methods naman, action research usually allows a process of planning, acting, observing, and reflecting. So they have a different a process. No? So action research is more flexible. Okay. Unlike for thesis, you typically is controlled by methods like, if it's quantitative, more on the data gathered on the survey, qualitative naman for interview guides. So actually, they are more contained to those instruments, no, to ensure validity and reliability of the findings. While for methodology of action research, somehow flexible and responsive to a certain situation.
Yes, ma'am. Or in addition to action research, more on focus on the specific teacher or assigned committee inside the classroom. But I think this is also is a little bit higher because there are committee like the chairman, statisticians, and it's better higher than that. So, ma'am, one more thing. One of my students before in my research, he asked me this type of question. He asked me like this, right? This is how he stated. Sir, can we use the quasi-experimental in action research?
Quasi-experimental?
Yes.
Yes. If the questions requires experiments, yes, you can use that. If it will be the best method to create a solution to a specific problem, yes, it can be used.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am, that's right. Actually, my answer also is right, but I told them, but basically the most focus of action research is more on about qualitative. So it's more about qualitative. It can be participatory, or it can be what we call this one, observation. But if you want to make a little bit deeper in your research, you can do quasi-experimental, since we are aiming for the cause and effect relationship of that. And how about, ma'am, I'm sorry, I just want to make sure, because this is the opportunity to clarify this. I have a knowledge, but I'm not sure. I don't think it's enough. Kulang pa. So, usually in action research, ma'am, we're going to use the simple statistical tools like Likert scale, the mean, median, percentage, right?
For qualitative approach,
Yes.
you don't usually use Likert scale.
Likert
Likert
scale,
scale.
and then we're going to interpret
For
using the mean, median, percentage.
That's basically for a quantitative approach. But for triangulation, if you want to use triangulation, it also uses quantitative approaches. So you can also mix, no? Or
So
add.
can be mixed. Do you have an experience also, ma'am, na some of your students doing action research that they use a higher statistical tools?
Usually they use, they integrate quasi-experimental.
Quasi-experimental. Is there anyone who use like the t-test, z-test, something like that, or basically the basic one, the Likert scale?
No, they usually don't choose Likert scale or quantitative
Likert
approach
scale lang
for action
talaga.
research.
Kasi I've been looking for it and I believe no one used. But anyway, ma'am, thank you for those information and clarification. I appreciate your presentations.
Just to clarify, no, the quantitative approach may give you a lesser impact in terms of interventions. So typically for action research, we use triangulation or qualitative approaches. So for
Yeah.
qualitative approaches, mix of interviews, you can also integrate quasi-experimental or document analysis. Document analysis, enough, it can be used for action research. And education has so many documentations. As mentioned a while ago in my discussion, the key evidences. Basically, it's in our front already. The evidences or the documents can also be used for action research.
Mhm. All right, ma'am, thank you for that. That's all for me.
Ayan, thank you so much for that, sir. Now I think Mr. Alan Villaverde is raising his hand. Sir Alan?
Yes. Hi, hello. Am I being heard?
Yes, sir.
All right. Hello, Miss,
Good
to
morning.
our keynote speaker. I just want to clarify, Miss, because like you mentioned about action research being qualitative. Yes, right. It is
Mhm.
qualitative most of the time. However, I think, is it possible if we can also like use, you mentioned about triangulation, right? Like, is it
Yes.
also possible that we can also employ quantitative approach in terms of doing action research and like pair it with qualitative, or should I say, can we have mixed methods in conducting one? Thank you.
Triangulation is actually a mixed method. No? You can also use quantitative for triangulation in action research, but
Yes.
we do not use quantitative alone in
Yeah.
product action research.
So yeah. So to
Triangulation is quantitative, qualitative, or document analysis or observation.
yes, po. So to say action research is qualitative in an absolute manner, I think um is really not that because I
Yeah,
like what I'm
it's not
saying is that like,
absolute. Yeah.
we can employ quantitative, right, together with qualitative.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so just want to clarify that because like
It's not absolute.
I myself I'm employing action research because it's part of reflective practice in teaching and learning
Mhm.
because it makes the qualitative data more credible if you have data to back it up. Yeah,
Yes.
just want to be clarified on that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sir Alan. Now I think I have here a question for ma'am. This is from another participant. Where can we find samples daw po of action research? Because I don't think there are many resources for this. So where can we find samples of action research? So at least we may have an idea of what it looks like or what is the difference between a normal research po.
Actually, all journals have, it's a mix of action research and other researches in different journals. No? Okay. So the school can also have its parang customized action research template if they want. So that the template will be basically all about the school. No? So there are action research that does not require very comprehensive discussions because it's basically about providing solutions to problems. So I think it's better that the school can have its own template of action research.
Thank you so much for that po. Now I think, are there more questions po? How about the others po? You may raise your hand if you have a question so that we can acknowledge you. Okay, I don't think there are more, but I think we have here some students with us, and I would like to ask them for some insights on what they have learned today. May I have some volunteers for insights? I think we have Miss Hannah Kongsiat, a student po. Miss Hannah, are you there?
Yes po.
Ayan. Hi, Miss Hannah. I would like to ask for some insights regarding this seminar that you have attended.
Um, Hello po. I think I've learned a lot about action research, especially po yung difference niya with um yung thesis or yung research na ginawa po namin noon. And then because we're gonna make an action research, I think, sa aming next semester. So I learned a lot yung methods and then yung mga um things na pwede namin gawin sa pagkakandak ng action research. So I think this seminar is very useful po for us students.
Thank you for that, Miss Hannah. How about po si Sir Terence? Terence Kendrick? Are you there, Sir Terence? All right. How about the others po? I don't think we are connected sa audio ni Sir Terence. Are there more questions po or more insights? Anything that you want to share about our discussion for today? Alright, so ako na lang. I want to share something po. Actually, before this session, I was not really familiar with action research and I had to read things about what action research is. And I think this is very important for educators like us. Syempre, lalo na yung mga nag-aano ng professional development. Kasi itong research na to, hindi lang siya basta makapagpasa ka ng research, especially pag kunwari merong mga call for publications or anything like that, na hindi na lang siya naghahangga sa meron kang nahanap na details or meron kang nahanap na mga data, ganyan. It actually is very helpful sa teachers like us kasi hindi siya, parang ano siya, nakakatulong siya sa community kung nasan ka, sa educational institution na nasaan ka. So yun, thank you very much, Miss Pablo, for letting us know more about this. And I think magagamit ito ng mga teachers lalo kapag ka mag-release tayo ng mga publication natin, mag-research tayo. Yan. Maraming salamat po. How about po sa iba nating teachers na kasama dito, mga insights po? May I call on Miss Saldana? Are you there, Miss Saldana? Anything you want to share po?
Good morning po.
Good morning, ma'am.
Sorry po, di na ako makapag-open ng camera. Medyo maingay, sorry. Ayan po, share ko lang insights. First of all, I want to thank then Miss Pablo. Actually, medyo mahina yung connection kasi nasa hospital po ako. Pero, ayan, with action research, very useful siya, of course, sa ating mga educators. Especially, nagpa-plan din ako mag-masteral. Not yet sure pa naman po kung kailan, pero very useful siya. And maganda rin pala na may mga students dito. Malaking tulong po sa kanila yun. Yan lang po. Thank you very much po for our guest speaker for today. Thank you po.
Ayan, Miss Pablo, would you like to add anything more po about our seminar for today?
Yes, I was expecting sana if specific problems of the schools can be asked para ma-provide natin what actions can be done. But anyway, you can send your queries by email so that I can reply if there are still questions or what's your frequently asked questions about action research so that I can provide a detailed explanation on what is happening actually in your school so that it will be more on a customized manner.
Opo. Bale, I would just like to add lang to that kung parang we're looking for specific problems. Maybe this is, I don't think this is just for me, etong problem na to. But when I first entered our educational institution here in Chiang Kai-shek College, my first problem na na-encounter ko is yung difference in culture. So there are a lot of Chinese students in our school. And of course, there are teachers din po na parang no background at all in Chinese culture, like me. I do not know how to speak in Chinese. I cannot understand most of my students when they are talking with their friends. And it also affects the way I teach my students. Sometimes I would have to resort to sign language because I teach grade 2 students. So they cannot really understand me sometimes. And there are times that I cannot understand them also. So I would like to ask, how can I apply action research with this specific problem na I think is na raranasan din ng most of the teachers that are joining our webinar today.
So basically, the research questions will be on cultural awareness and multicultural classroom setting. That could be the problem. Okay. And also, you can look into the impact of the existing practices, cultural or teaching practices on learning, so that we could see the difference. No? Maybe there are some teachers that can handle it, and we can look into those practices of those professors or teachers that can handle it. Then is it applicable to other professors also? So it's basically about also on cultural identity. You can also look into that. Cultural integration in the curriculum. Okay. So those are the research questions that you can use. Basically more on cultural awareness and sensitivity.
Ayun, thank you so much for that. At least meron ng parang base ng kung saan magsisimula yung action research.
That's the identified problem. No?
Opo.
The first step, yeah.
Opo, ayun. Thank you so much po. How about the others po? Are there more? Now, I don't think there are more po. If there are any specific questions, you may contact po, no, our keynote speaker, Miss Vanessa Pablo. If you have more questions that you're shy to ask here, you can always contact her po. Now, I don't think we have more, so I think that ends the open forum. But before we conclude, we would like to express our gratitude to Miss Vanessa Pablo for her very valuable expertise and to all of you for your active participation po. As a token of appreciation, we'd like to present her with a certificate of appreciation. The certificate reads, Chiang Kai-shek College awards the Certificate of Appreciation to Ms. Vanessa B. Pablo, licensed professional teacher, Doctor of Business Administration, Certified Human Resource Associate, Certified Residential Specialist, Juris Doctor, for sharing her knowledge, wisdom, and talents during the webinar titled Navigating Action Research, Practical Steps and Strategies for Effective Results, organized by the Office for Continuing Professional Education, given this 14th day of September 2024 via Zoom, signed by our President, Mr. Judelio Yap. Again, the whole Chiang Kai-shek College community thanks you, Ms. Vanessa Pablo, for gracing us with your time and knowledge. Let us show our appreciation to our resource speaker by showering her with hearts and clap emojis. Thank you so much po.
Thank you so much, Ms. Dayan. Thank you.
Opo, we learned a lot po in this webinar. Now, for picture taking naman po, to commemorate this fruitful session, let us take po a virtual group photo. I would like everyone to please turn on your cameras, wear your best smiles po, as we take a screenshot of all the pages that I have here. Kindly turn on your cameras po, everyone. Ayan po. Let me just give me a minute po. I'll just take a picture.
Me, I don't know why I cannot turn on my camera.
Sige po, that's okay lang po.
Okay lang, it can. Sige, okay lang.
Oh, just a minute. And last po. All right. Now, I think it's already okay na po. I have been able to take a screenshot of all the members that we have here today. And as we wrap up our today's webinar, I want to thank each one of you for joining us and participating in our activity for today, this webinar. As a special thanks once again po to Ms. Vanessa Pablo for her outstanding presentation. We hope you found this session both informative and very inspiring. Don't forget po to fill out our feedback form, which will be sent to you shortly, as your input is very invaluable to all of us. Have a great day, everyone, and we look forward to seeing you at our next event. Goodbye now and take care po. Kindly, please don't forget to fill out our feedback form. Our evaluation link po will be sent here in the Google chat.
Thank you po. Thank you so much.